Okay. I'm the therapist, and this is my husband, but he is pretending to be Miss Pappas, the mother of a 16-year-old daughter. Okay. Miss Pappas, thank you so much for coming in today. So today marks our 6th session, and I wanted to thank you for sharing what you have shared so far. Knowing your history really helps me to know you better and helps me figure out how we can work best together to address some of the problems that you've talked about.
Thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. It has been nice coming in and talking to you. As you know, I really don't talk about my feelings very much. Feelings were swept under the rug in my family, and I never want to burden people with my worries. It has been relaxing sharing my thoughts with you, even though it's hard.
Well, I'm really glad we're on the same page. Also, happy belated Thanksgiving. I thought we would start by doing a mood check today. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling fine today. I woke up and made my dad breakfast, did some laundry, got Bailey off to school, did the dishes, finished pruning the flowers in my garden, and now I'm here.
Wow, sounds like you've been busy. During our 4th session, you mentioned that you keep yourself busy whenever you're anxious. I'm wondering if you maybe aren't fine, as you said. What do you think about that?
I guess I've been anxious since I saw you last week. My dad has a cold and a terrible cough. I hate hearing him hack up his lungs at night, and it makes me worry that I'm going to lose him. I'm giving him his medications and making sure he has chicken noodle soup and stays hydrated, but I can't take away his pain. This is really hard for me. Also, my daughter had a sleepover at her friend's house last Friday, and I was a nervous wreck. I didn't sleep the entire night because I was worried I was going to get a phone call saying that she had died in a car accident or something. It was really bad.
Wow, it really doesn't sound like you're fine. I hear lots of anxiety, fear, tension. Am I tracking right with you?
Yeah, I guess you're right. This is kind of just how I always feel, so I guess I get used to it. This is pretty normal for me.
Hmm. So when you described your week, was there anything that stood out to you? I mean, you're worried about your dad, worried about your daughter, some other issues. Is there anything specific that's troubling you more than usual that you would like to discuss today?
Well, I know that I can't control my father's health, so I guess I would like to talk about my fear about my daughter. I trust her completely. I know she's not a bad kid. I know she loves me and would not do anything to spite me or hurt me. I know she hangs out with good kids. I know all these things, but I can't stop worrying. She got really annoyed with me because I called her like 20 times throughout the night to make sure it was okay. I can tell it frustrates her, and I don't want
Mm.
this to get in the way of our relationship. She is all I have, and, well, other than my dad, but he is older. My daughter's my life. She is what I live for.
You love your daughter very much, and you're afraid of what your life would look like if she's not in it.
Yeah, that's it. Which is why I want to protect her.
Sounds like part of this is very natural. I mean, as a mother, you want to protect your daughter from harm.
Yes, I want to be a good mother. I want her to have a good life and a happy future. I want to do everything I can to make her the best she can be. I want her to be good.
These are all very admirable desires. This is not wrong. However, as you know, it is interfering with your sleep, your physical health, and it now sounds like it's even creating tension in you and your daughter's relationship.
You're right. It makes me sad and worried.
Yeah, I can sense this in your voice and from what you've described. Well, I know that we discussed the cognitive behavioral therapy model last week, and I thought we'd just review some of the main points. So, the cognitive behavioral model is all about the idea that our thoughts influence our emotions, which influence our behavior. So, we have our thoughts, feelings, and our behavior all interacting. And last week, I asked you to think about this model and journal for 5 minutes each night before you went to bed. I asked you to think back on your day and write down the thoughts, emotions, and behaviors that were happening during that day. How did that go for you?
Well, I thought about it, but was only able to journal 3 nights. My emotions were mostly anxious, tired, worries, guilties. Behavior was staying busy, helping my dad, checking on my daughter. Thoughts? I don't really know about that one.
Thoughts are usually the hardest part. As I said last week, you aren't graded on therapy, so don't worry if you don't complete the homework. Definitely don't want that to be the reason why you stop coming to see me, okay?
Yeah, I know. But it was helpful to reflect on the day when I did it.
Well, that's good to hear. I thought we would try another exercise together today. It's called a thought log, and I will walk through it with you today. This is what it looks like. And then after we work through this together, I'm going to ask you to do this once next week. And if you don't feel comfortable after doing this together this time, we can just try it once next week and then continue to see how that goes. How does that sound?
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Let's start with the beginning of the thought log. So it sounds like you've already picked a situation that you want to focus on today. You mentioned when your daughter spent the night at her friend's house. So we'll work on this together. Please describe the situation in a little bit more detail. Who was involved in this?
My daughter, Presley, was spending the night at her friend Megan's house. I know her parents, Bill and Becky. I have their phone number and have been to their house. I know they're good people.
Okay, so we have your daughter at Bill and Becky's. You have their contact information.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what they were doing? Who she was with?
Well, Presley told me she and Megan were going to drive to the movies and meet some other friends. She didn't tell me which friends. Then they were going home to eat ice cream and go to sleep.
Okay, so we have movies, sleep, driving, other friends. Sounds like you pretty much knew what was happening that night. Now that we've discussed the situation, what were you thinking when Presley was gone?
The whole time I was thinking, Presley is going to die in a car accident or in some other way. I was thinking the phone was going to ring any second and tell me that she was dead or in trouble or in the hospital. I was thinking that I can't trust her, friends, and the people around her. I kept thinking that I should not have let her go. I kept thinking that I'll be alone with my dad.
Sounds like you were thinking a lot. You were thinking, your daughter's going to die in a car accident. You're going to be alone, out of control. Lots of death, dying, and blaming it on yourself. I wonder, what do these thoughts mean to you?
I don't really know. I guess I think that every time my daughter leaves, she is going to die. I want her to be with friends, and I don't want her to control her life, but I think I'm going to lose her. Just like I lost Bailey in the car accident when she was 3 years old.
These are all really intense thoughts. Thank you for sharing those. I know thoughts are one of the hardest to discuss. So how are you feeling while your daughter was gone? What were some of the emotions that you were feeling?
I was so scared. I was feeling anxious and afraid and guilty for not keeping her in the house. I was also sad thinking about losing my daughter. I don't know what I would do without her. She is my reason for living.
Okay. So I was scared, anxious, guilty, and afraid. It sounds like those are kind of the main emotions. Did you notice anything in your body?
Yeah, I couldn't sleep because my thoughts were racing. A couple times I started breathing quickly and had to calm myself down. Also, my shoulders were really tense and I had a headache. I really didn't feel very well.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how tense were these emotions at the time?
Probably an 8 or a 9.
Wow, so
Yeah.
this is pretty intense. Okay, so as you can see here, we've talked about the situation, we've talked about the thoughts, the feelings, and you rated this an 8 or a 9, so I'm going to make sure to write that. So we talked about the situation, what we were thinking. Now tell me about what you did. What behaviors did you do after all of this?
Well, from probably 8 to 11 that night, I called her a total of 15 times.
Okay.
I kept getting her voicemail, so I would text her. She finally texted and said they were in the movie.
Did that make you feel better?
Yeah, but then I called her every 2 minutes after they left the movie theater to make sure they got home okay. She got mad at me and hung up the phone.
So it sounds like she was pretty frustrated.
Yeah.
So once you knew they were home, what behavior, what did you do next?
I started pacing back and forth in my room. I didn't call her anymore because I knew she was home, but I was still worried that she might somehow get hurt. So I stayed awake by the phone all night.
You must have been really exhausted.
Yeah, I was really tired the next day. I was grouchy and got mad at my dad for no reason.
So at this point, we've reflected on the situation, the thoughts, emotions, and behaviors that were involved. How was this process for you? You've gone through about half of the thought log now.
Hard. I don't really like thinking about losing my daughter. I also hate it because I don't like that I call her so many times. I don't want to make her mad. I mean, I trust her. I just worry. She doesn't get it. It's really hard for me to explain this to her.
Have you ever told Presley that it's not that you don't trust her, but just that you're scared of losing her?
No, I guess I haven't. Like I said earlier, we don't really talk about our feelings much. I think she thinks it's because I don't trust her. It's hard. I love her, but I feel like I'm pushing her away.
Hmm. So part of CBT in the thought log is looking back on the situation and reflecting on what we have just processed. So I'm wondering, as you look back, what was rational or useful about what you were thinking, feeling, and doing during this time?
I mean, I know that I worry about my daughter because I'm her mother, and that is a natural instinct. This is natural and useful. I know that I'm scared because Bailey died in a car accident, and I've had multiple traumas due to car accidents. My desire to protect her and keep her home is useful because when I didn't keep Bailey home with my sister, she died. It was rational to want to check on Bailey to make sure she got to the movies safely and got to her friend's house safely. Presley, yeah, Presley. It was also rational to feel a bit worried when I didn't hear from her.
Okay, so you've pointed out multiple useful, rational points. However, do you think that there was anything that was not rational or useful?
I guess.
So what are you thinking?
I don't know. It's hard to point out things about myself that are irrational. I already feel like everything is my fault, and I don't like thinking about my weaknesses.
I totally understand that. I don't think anyone enjoys this process. However, you have expressed to me multiple times that you do not like that you obsess over your daughter's safety and that it has created tension in your relationship. Is this still the case?
Yeah, you're right. I guess it's not useful for me to stay awake all night, especially because she is sleeping. What can I do while she's sleeping? Nothing. Um, it's also not rational to call her 20 times when she's in the movies. It's not like she's going anywhere.
I noticed you laughed a little bit at yourself. What happened there?
Well, I mean, I guess talking about it made me notice that there's no point in not sleeping when she is sleeping. It seems kind of silly of me now.
So was there anything else that wasn't rational about this?
When I think about it, what could I have done even if she were in a car accident? I mean, if I really want to make sure she is safe, I need to keep her home at all times. But that's not good. She would hate me and not have a life.
That's an interesting point. So are you saying that you notice that it is normal for you to worry about your daughter, but also that you are starting to realize that you maybe can't prevent her from dying?
I mean, I still think I can. I still would feel like it's my fault if she died. But I guess if I want her to have her life, I can't keep her home all the time. But it's hard. It's so hard, you know? The next day, I found myself at Walmart and stole a pair of socks just because. I didn't need the socks, but I felt so much better when I left the store and realized I got away with it.
Thank you for sharing that. But you didn't mention that you stole again early in the session. Why do you think that was?
I didn't want you to get mad at me. I don't know. It doesn't have anything to do with my fear of losing my daughter. It's just something I do. I always have. Don't know why, but as long as I don't get caught, it's fine.
Okay. Well, I wonder if this thought log will help us see if there is any connection between your fear of losing your daughter and your stealing behaviors. Are you okay with exploring this a little more next time?
Yeah, I guess I am.
Okay, so let's return to the thought log. What do you think would have been more rational or useful for you to do last Friday when your daughter was away?
I guess I could have told my daughter to call me when she got to the theater and text me when she was leaving, and then call when she got to her friend's house, instead of me calling her every 2 seconds. It would have made sense to sleep because she was sleeping. I don't know. I feel like that's really irrational.
It's okay. Doing these exercises reveal a lot about our internal processes, and it's okay to feel overwhelmed by some of these realizations. So now that we've gone through, the whole process, how do you feel on a scale of 1 to 10?
Honestly, I feel better knowing that some of my behavior and thoughts are rational and normal because I'm a mom. But it's hard knowing I'm so anxious and I cannot protect my daughter from dying. So maybe like a 6.
Well, that is less intense than your 8 or 9 earlier, so that is progress. I firmly believe you will continue to progress as we continue our sessions together.
Really? You think I can get better?
Yes, it will take hard work, but if you commit to working through these thought logs and other homework exercises, you will start to become less anxious about your daughter. Well, it looks like our session is coming to an end. Would you like to discuss homework for this week?
Yeah, I enjoyed walking through this today and don't feel too overwhelmed.
Okay, that's really good to hear. So, how about you continue journaling for 5 minutes each night like you did last week? I would really like for you to bring in this journal so we can look through it together and see if there are any common themes that maybe we might be missing. How does that sound?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. I would also like to go through this thought log once by yourself. It does not have to be the same situation, but I really would like you to practice thinking about your thoughts, the emotions, behaviors. Does this all sound manageable to you?
Yeah, I can do that for sure.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming in today. You did some really good hard work, and you can take this and use this as an example for next time.
Great, thanks.
Thank you.
I'm a great woman.